Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface with AzChats number 66. AzChats videos, they are more podcasty type of a video as opposed to a visual video. There's something for you to listen to as opposed to necessarily see. So if you want to crank me up in the background, get on with whatever you need to do around the house, you will get just as much value from the vid as the mouth breather staying by their keyboard, watching it like this. And because this is an AzChats video, it may contain fruity language, i.e. language of an adult nature. That's swearing to the layperson folks. Now, you're going to have to forgive my rather subdued voice in today's video. Woken up, stinking cold, nose is all tingly, throat's all sore, so I'm trying to protect it as best possible. So if I do get a little bit, I don't know, pubaic in some areas of the vid, do forgive me, and I will try and edit out all the snivels as best I possibly can. So the topic for today's video is going to be about Blizzard responding to the WoW community about the Nostalrius discussion, which has literally been raging on in some quarters of the internet in recent weeks. Now, if you do not know what I'm going on about, I have actually done a video about the shutdown of this server. Nostalrius was a vanilla WoW private server that was slapped with a cease and desist order by Blizzard Activision, or Activision Blizzard, which I can't remember which one it is at this time because my head's all muddled. And they were forced to shut down. And this was a big thing because the Nostalrius server was huge in context of a private server. They heavily advertised. They were being praised in all kind of quarters from people who were there. And Blizzard simply could not avert their gaze from this little mouse which was screaming, and they had to squish it. And at the time of its shutdown, I believe it had 800,000 registered accounts, which is absolutely incredible for a private server, and 150,000 active players, which again is absolutely unbelievable. I think they have a dev team of around about 30-ish people, and they were maintaining this one vanilla server. So that was pretty substantial in itself. Were they profiting from this? No. The people were doing this simply out of the love for the game. People were not charged for participation. They weren't asked to donate, or there wasn't any sort of donate facility to the people looking after this. This was how they generate the money. I do not know whether it was advertising from the website or their own funds. I do not know. I really do not know. But all I know is that the player base were not in any way, shape or form asked for money. Not that it makes any difference. The simple fact of the matter is it was an illegal action and Blizzard hit them with a cease and desist order. They had to. They had to protect their IP. It's as simple as that. So from that perspective, just so you know kind of where we are, I need to tell you my stance on it. If you've watched the other video, sorry that you're going to have to hear this again, but again for the new people, just to make perfectly clear which side of the fence I'm on, which is pretty much the middle, I've got to confess in this instance. I never personally got involved in private servers. I never created a character. I never went on one at all. I am a believer in looking forward as opposed to looking back. And I do have the belief that I think a lot of people tend to gravitate towards private servers and these type of servers because not necessarily that they want to participate in the vanilla WoW per se. There's certainly a segment of the community that do. But I think a lot of more people kind of preferred the style of play that World of Warcraft tended to offer back then, where the game used to be a lot tougher, where leveling was really an integral part of the game and irrelevant and not just a side notion, where you actually really had to work hard to level up to top level, and dungeons, raids, really tough. Outworld content, a lot tougher than it is now. Elites, eat you for breakfast if you tried it on with them solo. So it certainly produced a lot more community, a lot more guild interaction, and yeah, that is the WoW that I remember when I first started playing at the beginning of the Burning Crusade. And, you know, kind of seeing how the World of Warcraft is now in comparison to that, you can fully understand why people would want to play it. So I really sympathise with the community, and I really sympathise with the people who had their accounts wiped and all that kind of jazz, because they only wanted to play for the love. They only wanted to play the WoW how it used to be. It's not as if they went to a different game. They wanted to play the World of Warcraft. They just wanted to play it when it offered a challenge, and it actually offered something more than, you know, standing around a garrison or clicking a button to queue and all this kind of jazz. But I fully understand Blizzard's position as well. They had to slap it with a cease and desist order. They had to protect their intellectual property. It was as simple as that. They couldn't let this lie because it was just gathering more and more momentum. And to be quite honest with you, it was embarrassing the company. It really was embarrassing the company. So I do see both sides of the coin here. I sympathise with the community. I understand from Blizzard's side. I personally look forward as opposed to looking back, but I think I understand the motivation of why these people would want to do this. So with that said, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video, because I'm going to go through this post by Blizzard. Going to go through it, maybe a couple of paragraphs at a time, depending on where it makes sense to break, and then discuss as we go along what they're actually trying to say, and whether or not this response is a good response, or is it a response that really needs further sort of investigation, or whether or not it's like a wishy-washy. You're all capable of making your own decisions. This, of course, is just going to be my take on a subject. So, with that said, let's crack on with the first couple of paragraphs. We wanted to let you know that we've been closely following the Nostalrius discussion, and we appreciate your constructive thoughts and suggestions. Right, I immediately break there. Now then, I can really believe that. I mean, legitimately, I don't think that is wishy-washy at all, because let's have a look at it. From my perspective, I have a World of Warcraft channel with about 110,000 subscribers. Bellular Gaming has a World of Warcraft channel, predominantly, of course, where he's got about 145,000 subscribers. Hasman Gold, about 140 odd thousand subscribers. Lazy Payon, just over 200,000 subscribers. Now, he's moved on to other stuff, but he still does a little bit well here and there. So why I mentioned these kind of accounts? Well, I wouldn't say we're massive. I don't mean any disrespect to me, and I don't mean any disrespect to any of them. I wouldn't call us massive YouTube channels. We have a decent following, over 100k, but we're not huge channels by any stretch of the imagination. We're not Ray William Johnson sort of level of huge. You know what I mean? And we've all done videos on the Nostalrius subject, and they've all had lots of hits. I think from the last viewing of my one, it's about 120 odd thousand views. I think Bellular's was, last time I saw it, on about 150, 160,000. I think Asmongold's was about 170 odd thousand last time I saw. And then Lazy Peon did a video on it only a couple of days ago, and even within a couple of days it was up to around about 80,000 views. So what I'm trying to say is, this is, even with kind of not tiny, but even with like smaller World of Warcraft YouTube channels, these videos got substantial views, kind of views up and above our subscription rates. So you're looking at more than just your subscription base watching these videos. You're looking at outward sources also watching these videos. So it's getting a lot of kind of publicity in that sense. The community was very much tuned in to what was going on here. Then you had bigger, much bigger channels than ours, like Soda Poppin'. Now, although his YouTube channel isn't like stonkingly massive, of course he has a colossal presence on Twitch, massive presence on Twitch, and he did a video on the subject, and that's got a whole load of views. And then there was, I forget his surname, you're gonna have to give him that John video, which got a colossal amount of views, and he's got a massive YouTube channel where they both chimed in to the whole Nostalrius debate. and they garnished a load of attention, and Soda Poppin became very, very active indeed about this. Very active to get people to sign a petition, very vocal in his sort of anger and frustration. I wouldn't say there's any hate. A lot of people kind of confuse frustration and with hate, which I get all the time. You're such a WoW hater. When I'm just so frustrated and so annoyed at the current state of the game, from where I used to play it, when I absolutely fucking adored it. When I adored it when it was in the Burning Crusade, and I absolutely adored it when it was in Wrath of the Lich King, and I couldn't say anything. I was just so chuffed with the game, you just couldn't say anything bad about it, because you're just having a great time, and it was amazing, and it offered kind of everything that you really wanted. And then from Cataclysm onwards, and I'm sure it has absolutely, no bearing on the fact that's when they tended to get bought out and turn into a privately owned company, that the game suddenly started to turn to the kind of mulch that we have now. And, it's not difficult to see where the huge mistakes were made. Suddenly, a very communal-based game in Wrath of the Lich King and the Burning Crusade and Vanilla. In Cataclysm, you suddenly got things like Dungeon Finder, where you didn't even have to leave capital cities. So Stormwind and Orgrimmar were just rammed because people weren't leaving anymore. They weren't going to the dungeons, and they weren't building teams to go out there into the world. They were just pressing a button and waiting. And then you had Raid Finder, which was a huge contributor to the destruction of guilds and the destruction of community and the destruction of dungeoneering, and also to a lesser degree, but still contributing to the devalue of gear, of epic gear. It had such a negative impact on the game versus what it brought in. It was just crazy. And then from the situation we've got with Warlords of Draenor at the moment, where the player base is down to next to nothing compared with what it started off at, and the game being in the doldrums, in the absolute doldrums. So you can absolutely understand the kind of frustration that came from Soda Poppin. It's felt by myself, it's felt by a whole load of other people, and when you've got those kind of very public faces, very prominent faces, and not our little-ish channels, then Blizzard have got to prick up their ears, and they've really got to sort of like pay attention, because this wasn't, I thought, I kind of thinking they hoped it would kind of like be something that they could close down, people would have a bit of a whinge, and then it would just blow over. It didn't. It turned into an almighty shitstorm, which would not go away. So yes, they have absolutely been following this very, very closely indeed. Wow, all that for literally 1.5 lines. Our silence on the subject definitely doesn't reflect our level of engagement and passion around this topic. We hear you. Many of us at Blizzard and the WoW dev team have been passionate players ever since Classic WoW. In fact, I personally work at Blizzard because of my love for Classic WoW. That's all kind of like subjective. Sure, maybe not. Who cares? And I don't mean that in a horrible, dismissive kind of way. But we all love Classic WoW, and then you kind of like, well, look at the game compared to Classic WoW. It's like chalk and shit. Never mind chalk and cheese. It's just like chalk and shit. So you might have a love for it, but my goodness me, it's gone down the top pan. It really has. We have been discussing classic servers for years. Yeah, it's a topic every BlizzCon, and especially over the past few weeks. Well, I believe the last bit, especially over the last few weeks. And yes, it is a topic at BlizzCon, but it's a topic that you keep dismissing. Blizzard keep dismissing at every BlizzCon. Remember, we had that really arrogant, you think you do, but you don't, after you get you think you want, but you think you do, but you don't, comment which came from the Q&A. Where, of course, we all love being told what we really think by people who are completely out of touch with the game at the moment, don't we? So, especially over the past few weeks is probably the most realistic thing on that sentence there. From active internal team discussions to after-hours meetings with leadership, this subject has been highly debated. Some of our current thoughts. Okay, again, I think probably all those really happened after the Nostalrius kind of thing exploded, because let's face it, Blizzard couldn't get any more bad publicity at the moment if they tried. And it's, that saying of all publicity is good publicity, that kind of works to some degree, but there becomes a time when all the publicity is just negative that it starts to have an impact on your business. And there is just so much kind of like negativity surrounding the game and the World of Warcraft and the current state of it, and then this huge long gap between 6.2 and the new expansion again after Ian has Acostus and Lore came out in that Q&A, and Ian was like, we think it was absolutely unacceptable, the gap between the last 5.4 and Warlords of Draenor, absolutely unacceptable, and then here we are in a longer period of time. So there becomes a time when any publicity is good publicity kind of runs out of steam, and I think it is really out of steam with Blizz now. So these meetings I can well believe happen because we don't know what the sub numbers are at the minute. I can guarantee you they're in absolute pitiful state, and they just can't do with any more bad publicity. They can't do with people having another reason, another excuse to leave the game. I'm sure some people are literally clinging onto the World of Warcraft by the skin of their teeth. I know I am. Absolutely by the skin of my teeth. And they're just going to need a tiny push, and it'd be like, no, okay, it's time. And then, we'll see how many people return back for Legion. So let's go into some of their thoughts. Why not just let Nostalrius continue the way it was? The honest answer is failure to protect against intellectual property infringement would damage Blizzard's rights. This applies to anything that uses WoW IP, including unofficial servers. Which is true. That's absolutely true. You have to protect your IP. If you don't protect your IP, it can get damaged. It can get snatched away from you. You can find yourself in some dodgy legal kind of territory, especially if they let some things go and they don't let other things go. So yes, they kind of have to really be hard-ass when it comes to protecting the rights, and you cannot fault them for that. So that's not undeniable. That's not undeniable. That's absolutely spot on, and I fully sympathise with them in that respect. And while we've looked into the possibility, there is not a clear legal path to protect Blizzard's IP and grant an operating license to a pirate server. Okay, again, fair enough. Again, if they allowed Nostalrius to continue in the way it was, they would be allowing someone who is infringing copyright, so other people could then start to have some sort of legal grounds to say, well, they're doing it, we should be able to do it, and it's going to cause Blizzard even more of a headache. So that I can absolutely wholeheartedly concur and agree with them on that segment right there. We explored options for developing classic servers, and none could be executed without great difficulty. I'm a bit skeptical about this. If the people could create Nostalrius with a skeleton staff of about 30 odd people, if they could create Nostalrius and have it running, and as far as I'm aware, the servers were stable, they were up, very little downtime, stuff like this, especially from the people that I've spoken to regarding just how they operated. This to me sounds a little bit, we're getting into a little bit of wishy-washy, let's see if we can fob a moffy territory here. If we could push a button and all of this would be created, we would. That's a lie, Blizz, and you know it. That's an absolute lie. And I'll tell you for one massive reason. Blizzard can't operate legacy servers now at this present moment in time because it could seriously impact sales of expansions. There was a great article on, I forget which site, forgive me, There was a great article about this and why legacy servers to the World of Warcraft would actually harm them, because if people really liked the legacy servers, if they really liked the old school vanilla, and then just continued to pay their subscription fee and didn't purchase Legion because they were getting more out of the game by doing this, playing on these servers, than they would by getting the latest expansion of the World of Warcraft. And that's where Blizzard are making their money nowadays, on the actual sales of expansions. Then that is disaster, utter disaster for Blizzard Entertainment. So putting on legacy servers in the format that Nostalrius had them on would not work. It would only kind of like really work if they put it out maybe 6 months or so, maybe 8 months or so after the release of Legion, with the hope that Legion was still going to produce another year and a half-ish, a year or so of content. And even then, we're kind of looking at really sort of dodgy territory, as well as the fact that if people are gravitating towards the legacy servers that Blizzard produce, and they're loving it, not only are they missing out on the sales of Legion, but it's also saying your old stuff is better than your new shit, which is a slap in the face. And I don't think Blizzard could cope with that at all. So there are kind of a couple of big bolshy reasons why making legacy servers for Blizz, is not necessarily going to be a good thing. I mean, the only way they could kind of circumvent that would be to say you can only have access to the legacy servers if you have the current expansion. That is a way round it. So, you can only have access to legacy servers through the purchase of the current expansion. If you do not have the current expansion, then you cannot access the legacy server. But you can never circumvent, if more people are playing the legacy aspect than the current aspect, then it really means that your current game is failing miserably. So this business of if we could push a button and it could all be created, we would. I don't buy that for a single second at all. However, there are tremendous operational challenges to integrating classic servers, not to mention the ongoing support of multiple live versions for every aspect of WoW. Well, it kind of depends how they operate the legacy servers. Now, number one, I mean, come on, there are so many wasted WoW servers at the moment, dead servers at the moment. Just fucking merge them, for Christ's sake. Just start merging servers and free up server space. Just goddamn do it. There's so many complaints about people's realms just being dead. Just start merging some servers together. Obviously, have some available for the spike when the next expansion's released and all that kind of stuff. But there is no need for the amount of servers that we have now. No need whatsoever. There simply isn't the player base to justify those. So start merging some, free up some. And also, if you started off Legacy with just vanilla and gauged it from there, you wouldn't have to do one for vanilla, one for Burning Crusade, one for Wrath of the Lich King just yet. I mean, it could actually be one of the features of the new expansion. New expansion, you have access to Legacy Vanilla. And then you see how many people play the Legacy Vanilla. And you kind of gauge from there whether or not it's something that remains popular, whether it's something that's a fad, whether it has a monumental drop-off, whether only a few people play, whether everybody plays. You can kind of gauge it from that side. But of course, it always goes down to if the legacy proportion is more popular than the current version, then so there's that is just, there's no getting away from that aspect of it whatsoever. So tremendous operational challenges. They've got the team to do it. They've got the finances to do it. You don't have to run multiple live versions at all. You can only you really only have to start off with the one, engage it. So I think they are trying to make it more complicated for them than it really is. Again, we've seen it been done by such a small team. Again, I just kind of, although I'm not a developer and I don't know all the operational aspects, and I'm not speaking from a developer's point of view, just from a kind of I smell bullshit point of view, to me, that doesn't seem kosher. That's not kosher. That's not. I think that's a little bit of Billy bullshit right there. So what can we do to capture that nostalgia of when WoW first launched? Over the years, we've talked about a pristine realm, in essence that would turn off all levelling acceleration, including character transfers, heirloom gear, character boosts, recruiter friend bonuses, WoW token for money, in case people were wondering, and access to cross-realm zones, as well as group finder. We aren't sure whether this version of a clean slate is something that would appeal to the community, and it's still an open topic of discussion. Now, at superficial look, some people might be like, oh wow, okay, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, turn off all the levelling accelerants, and that's going to give it a more old school vibe and feel to it. But you don't have to think for too long before you see all the issues that come along with the pristine realm. Number one, we would still be as powerful as we are now. I mean, we are strong, never mind in heirloom gear. We are so powerful in today's age compared to how we used to be back then. And we will have access, of course, to all the talents and abilities that come with modern day World of Warcraft. And the level of experience can be doctored, but it would probably still remain the same. And the mobs are still going to be as weak as they are now. So you're still going to be able to group mobs together. You're still going to be able to face roll dungeons, regardless of whether or not you're in heirloom gear or not. They're not going to pose any challenge to you. All this in essence is doing is actually just slowing you down. It's not giving you any, and this is the big word here, of the experience of the whole subject, the experience of how the vanilla realm would feel. People wanting the experience of working together, both Horde and Alliance, to open up AQ40. People looking for the experience of attuning yourself to raids like Naxxramas 40 before you can even go inside of it. People are looking for the experience of the old world pre-Cataclysm. That is another big hook for these kind of places, because pre-Cataclysm you had massive organic PvP like Tarren Mill versus South Shore, which again you wouldn't get in the pristine realm, because the pristine realm would still exist in a post-Cataclysm world with the post-Cataclysm leveling. So you wouldn't get that old school leveling that you had before. You wouldn't get those old school experiences. You would be much weaker in a vanilla game as you would be in a pristine realm. So you wouldn't get the experience. All you'd get is a placebo. It's kind of what Blizzard tend to offer many solutions as placebos. Oh, you're not doing this content. Right, we're going to over reward you then to do this content. So people start doing it and Blizzard go, yay, this content's a success, when it's only a placebo fix because all they've done is over incentivize people to do something. This is very similar indeed. It's slowing down your leveling in an attempt to try and trick you into thinking that therefore means more challenge. And that's not the case. That wouldn't be the case at all. You're still going to be very strong. You're still not going to have any issues leveling. You're still going to be able to crush through stuff with greens and blues and purples that you find in the world. Your gold generation is still going to be substantial compared to how it used to be as well. So you are going to be able to afford a lot of things. Crafting is so much easier now compared to how it used to be then. And what's on offer, you can make yourself good stuff. You know, it's certainly not going to feel like an Iron Man challenge or anything like that whatsoever, which is probably more akin to how the vanilla side would kind of feel. So this isn't in any shape, way or form going to offer the experience that it would if you were in a vanilla environment, or if you were in a TBC environment or a Wrath of the Lich King environment. No, it's merely a slowdown mechanic and nothing more than that at all. And that ultimately is what these people are looking for. They're looking for the genuine article. They're not looking for a knockoff version of it. They're looking for the genuine thing, the genuine feel, the exact same feeling that they had back then, or somebody going in fresh wanting to experience it from the exact position that it originated in. This is, like I said, it's just nothing more than a slow down mechanic. That's what this boils down to, and that is not what they want. It's not a glass of water, it's not a glass of Coke, it's a horrible merger of the two, which is just going to taste awful. So I think people really have to think a lot more about that. And just one more thing before I end there. Over the years, we've talked about Pristine Realm. Bullshit. Like 2 weeks ago, we thought this up. This doesn't sound like something which has taken years to concoct. This sounds like something which has been thought out when the whole Nostalrius debacle started to kick up. So I definitely call bullshit on over the years about the Pristine Realm. One other note. We've recently been in contact with some of the folks who operated Nostalrius. They obviously care deeply about the game, and we look forward to more conversations with them in the coming weeks. What that says, not entirely sure. I think what it's trying to say is, hey, look, we know we slapped them with a cease and desist order, but we do have a dialogue open with them. We're not ogres. We had to do it to protect our IP, but we are talking to them, you know. What they're talking about, who knows? There's no point in even speculating. Ooh, let's speculate. No, I'm only joking. There's no point in even speculating. But if they're trying to talk to them about this Pristine Realm business, I don't know. These people seem pretty clued in. I think they would kind of highlight the pitfalls to Blizz pretty early doors about that. You, the Blizzard community, are the most dedicated, passionate players out there. We thank you for your constructive thoughts. I love the way they put the constructive. And not rage. We thank you for your constructive thoughts and suggestions. We are listening, J. Allen Brack. Well, they've kind of been forced to listen in this instance. So, with all of that said, what do we got? I mean, one thing that you got to say, Blizzard have come out and they have addressed the community, and that's good. They have come out with an idea for Pristine Realms. I don't think it's a great idea. I think there's a lot of flaws there and it doesn't work, but it's an idea at least. They're trying to say, and they've said, look, this is something. What do you think? I do think some players are gonna jump on that really quickly without thought and go, yay, that sounds like a great idea. And they haven't really kind of like looked into the pitfalls of the fact that it's not going to give you a genuine experience. It is only going to slow you down as opposed to make the game tougher and more challenging. Even in greens and blues and purples, you would still be insanely strong compared to how you were back in there. So it is an idea at least, but I think it involves a lot more work. But to be perfectly honest with you, the only way that you're really going to solve this problem is by giving them legacy servers. And then it comes to the degree of whether or not Blizzard will capitulate, and they will do that. I see Blizzard holding off. Number one, hopefully for them, in an attempt that this oozes away from the public consciousness and just kind of falls by the wayside and doesn't get brought up again. And if it does, they can kind of say, okay, let's just keep one eye on this, but this seems to have kind of gone away for now. Or if it keeps on, keeping on, if people are still prodding and poking at Blizzard about what's happening, I think they would be more inclined to see what the sales are like of Legion first before committing to anything at all. And if Legion sells really well, because it's a fresh expansion with stuff to do, and they get a good number of people back, then they could say, well, Pristine or nothing, if they're going to offer it, and then kind of leave it at that. We've got decent numbers. Yeah, we'll get a drop off, but fuck it, we're still getting decent numbers. Or if Legion doesn't, sell as well as they hope, that not anything to do with Legion as a product, but because, people have lost too much faith in Blizzard. They've given them their last chance with Warlords and they're not willing to commit, or they are wanting to see how the 7.1s and the 7.2s throw out content as opposed to just jumping on the 7.0. Because, of course, like I said, gear doesn't mean anything in the game anymore. It means nothing. Jumping in at any time, you can be up there within a week of any sort of high-levelish player. So that kind of doesn't matter. So maybe people are going to hold out to see how the patches support the expansion. If it looks like the patches are supporting it, then they'll come back then. So if Legion doesn't get those huge numbers, maybe, just maybe, Blizzard have to bite the bullet and say, fuck it. We'll do a legacy server, a vanilla legacy server, see how it goes, tie it to the latest expansion, so they have to have a copy of Legion to be able to gain access to it. Yes, it's a kind of admission that it's better, people would rather prefer to play the old product as opposed to the new product. But there's no way they can change the new product now. They've fucked themselves. They've shot themselves in the foot with how they've tried to make the game so accessible to everybody that all they're really doing is making it accessible to the lowest common denominator. So many people are not getting the experience that they used to get because they need to cater for 86-year-old Daisy, who, when she's awake, God bless her heart, and she's not watching Judge Judy, fucking love you, Judge Judy, when she's not watching Judge Judy, might get on to play 3 minutes of WoW a year. Because they've had to cater for her, so many people aren't getting the experience in the game anymore. So then we might see legacy servers. And they will, of course, spin it that it's not an admission that the old product... We're offering something different. The game has evolved, but we're offering something different to the players who want to experience things how they used to be. They can put... They've been spinning shit for fucking years, yo. They can spin that fine. They don't have to make any admissions that the current product is failing compared to the older products. We'll I'm sure there are lots of people that just go, we don't give a shit. We'll fucking go, okay, if they can do it. So I legitimately think the only way that you're going to be able to kind of resolve this situation properly is if you have proper vanilla service and cater for that. Now, whether or not, if Blizzard did put out the proper, vanilla servers, but they gave it an aesthetic overhaul, so you were having the modern day character models and everything. That could be very interesting indeed. But is part of the experience having all the old shit, including the old character models? I don't know. I mean, where does it stop? That's probably a whole new topic of conversation for another time with somebody. Look, at least they're coming out, at least they're talking, at least they're trying to come up with ideas. They have initial idea. I don't think it's quite there. I think they need to go back to the drawing board with that one. We know that there is a dialogue open with Nostalrius at all, and we know that they've fibbed a few times in the post as well. But hey, isn't that just kind of like standard Blizzard now? What do you think in the comments down below? What does Pristine Realm say to you? Are you actually, I like the idea of Pristine Realm? Or are you like, a little bit like me, I think it's actually just a slowdown and a placebo as opposed to a genuine solution. It doesn't actually offer the legitimate experience of what it would be like. It's really tab clear kind of stuff. Or, are you vehemently against them or vehemently for them? It'd be interesting to see what people have got to say about it in the comment section down below. And do any of you have any ideas? Any comparable ideas that might be good for both Blizz and for people who want to play legacy servers? There could be some great brain farting going on out there. So you'll have to, again, please forgive the voice. I've tried to I've done so many cuts of this video, it's unreal. Can you tell where I've stopped and started again? So there we go. AzChats number 66 comes to an end, and I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do get a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links, they're in the description down below, and I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care, everybody. Bye-bye.